We weren't quite able to finish number 8 on page 10 of the 5.6 notes, so let's finish that up before we move to the next page. So we had set our cross products equal 9.5x equals 2 times 33, 66. And then we have to divide both sides by 9.5. And when I did that, I got 66 divided by 9.5, and it filled up my screen. I'm like, oh, ugh, what am I going to do? But then I looked up here and went, oh, this is a rounding problem. So this is the only time we're allowed to round, when they tell us we can. So then we go tenths, hundredths. So 4 is in the hundredths place, but it's followed by a 7. So it says turn it into 5. And we use these little squiggly marks to show that it is not an exact answer any longer. Now it's a rounded answer. So this is exact, this is exact, this is exact. But the minute we round, we show the reader with little squigglies that it's not an exact answer any longer. And then after I round it to 6.95, and again it says hundredths, 4 is in the hundredths, 4 followed by 7 is 5. Then I put the label on it and I can see the problem is meters. So that means the tree is 6.95 meters tall. So if they asked you to write a sentence about it, you would say the tree is approximately 6.95 meters tall. Okay, so I started making the video on the back page and I went to hit pause and I accidentally hit stop. So I'm sorry, this one has the writing already on it, but I will explain it. So we have Dusty. He's this 8-foot tall camel. So I went over to the camel and put 8, I should have put feet in. And do you all notice that this is another nested parenthesis problem? Why did I say nested parenthesis? Okay, now I'm losing it. Nested triangle problem. So we have the big triangle, and then we have this little triangle at the end. Okay. So eventually we will end up pulling the triangles out again. So it says Dusty is standing 40 feet away from a small pyramid. So here's the edge of the pyramid. Here's the camel. And he's standing 40 feet away from the pyramid. So don't put it from here. This is the inside of the pyramid. 40 feet is the pyramid to the camel. His shadow's 14 feet long. So notice I put 14 feet on his shadow. Shadows are on the ground. I've seen students put them up here. This is not the shadow. Your shadows aren't in the air. They're on the ground. So there's the camel's shadow, 14 feet. It's also part of the pyramid's shadow, but we put it where the camel is. Then it says the base of the pyramid is 30. And in geometry, you learn when you have a square pyramid and you bring down the height, that will cut that in half. So from here to here, it's 15. So when I do this in class, students are like, why do you need to know that? Well, when I pull the triangles out, I need the height of this one and the base, which I have. I need the height of this one, which this is what they're asking about. How tall is a pyramid? But then I need to know its base. 40 is not its base. 14 is not its base, but its base is going to be 15 plus 40 plus 14. So I pulled the little triangle out, 8 feet tall, 14-foot base. Then I pull the big triangle out, and it is X feet tall because it says how tall is the pyramid. So there's the X. And its base is going to be 15 plus 40 plus 14 because the big triangle is all the way to the end. So 15 plus 40 plus 14 is 29 and 40, 69 feet. Okay. Then I marked it to show the pieces that go together, the height of the big triangle compared to the height of the little triangle, the base of the big triangle compared to the base of the little triangle. So then I got X over 8 x over 8 equals 69 over 14. Then I set the cross products equal. 14 times x is 14x equals 8 times 69. And don't forget your equal, because we set the cross products equal when we're solving. Okay, so we just put the corresponding parts together, starting with the left triangle, left over right, left over right. Then I plugged it into the calculator and I got 14x equals 52. So I need to divide by 14, and this is when I reached for pause because I wanted to look over the problem. I thought, why did they give me such an ugly answer? So 552 divided by 14. So I hit pause and went, So then I looked up here and I go, well, they're not asking me to round, so what am I going to do? Well, we talked about this in class, the difference between division and the fraction bar. Division gives me this answer, which is a rounded answer. This means it goes on forever because it fills the whole screen. So when I come to something like this, it fills the whole screen and there's nothing that says round. That means clear your screen and use the fraction key, because the fraction key will give you an exact answer, which this problem wants because there was nothing about rounding. So fraction bar 14, and it says 39 3/7 feet, and that is how tall the pyramid is. Okay, so if it fills up your screen and there's nothing about rounding above, that means go back, get rid of the division sign, and use a fraction bar, which will give me an exact non-rounded answer. So the pyramid is 39 3/7 feet tall. If they asked you for a sentence, that's what you would write. The pyramid's height is 39 3/7 feet. Okay. So that one's a little bit tough for a test, but I like it. It uses stuff from geometry in high school, stuff from what we've learned today. So it's kind of a cool problem, but maybe more geared for the next class than this. Okay, these next two problems are, one of the two is on the test. I picked number 11 to be a little bit, excuse me, a little bit closer to the test. So I have 11 highlighted on the other page. 11 and 12 are the two that I picked like the test. So this is the very last problem on your test, and it's called a motion problem. So let's go ahead and put that in, motion problem. Motion means what it says, motion's happening. And on motion problems, we use the formula rate times time equals distance. So that's a formula hopefully most of you know, because if you're going 60 miles an hour for 3 hours on the freeway, your distance is 180 miles, right? 60 times 3, 60 for the first mile, 60 for the second, 60 for the third. So anytime I see miles, miles per hour, time, I write down that formula. So rate times time equals distance, and you can always figure it out. Just do a scenario of your own. 50 miles an hour for 5 hours, 50 times 5, 250 miles. So when I give a paper pencil test, I give the box. So it's going to be up to you to fill in the box. I like having it in this order. So I'm going to change that order. Rate times time equals distance. So I'm going to put it in that order. Alex might give it to you in a different order, but that's the order I like. So if they don't give you a box, then you can make your own, and I just put the formula above. So then I need to remember rate units are like miles per hour. Time units are like hours, minutes. Distance units will be just like miles. So the biggest thing I see students do wrong on these is they put the numbers in the wrong column. So look at the units on the number. So Danny and Dana drove to Chicago. Danny travels 205 miles. Miles is distance. So I go to Danny And under distance, I write 205. Okay, now this is a little phrase, and you'll see it on Alex too, that so many students just skip right over, but it is the key to the whole problem. Because if you don't pick up on that, you won't be able to set your equation. So the minute I see same time, I go, oh, their two times are going to be equal. That's how I'm going to write my equation. Whatever's in here, I'm going to set it equal to whatever's in here, and that's how I'll find my answer. So same time means put an equal sign between the two time columns. Dana travels 175 miles. So miles is distance. So go in Dana and put 175. Danny's rate is 6 miles per hour more than, remember that word than that we talked about not too long ago? Anything that follows than is X. So Dana's rate is going to be X, or maybe even a better letter would be R. Because students always go, I never know which one to call X. Than is the key word. If you see than, whoever or whatever follows than is always your X. Since it stands for rate, I'm going to call it R. Then reread what comes before than, and that will help you fill in this. Danny is 6 miles per hour more. What does more mean in math? If I have 6 pieces more than you, and you have 20, what are you going to do to get me? 20 plus 6, right? So if Dana's going R, doesn't that mean Danny's going R plus 6? Isn't that what more than means, is plus? So more than is plus. So you take Dana's rate and you add 6 because Danny is 6 miles per hour more than Dana. Okay, so far, there's really not anything new that you've learned, right? This you should have known from previous classes. We just filled in the columns with the information they gave us. So there's only one new thing on these. One new thing. They didn't tell me anything about time except for its same time. So that's where this formula comes in. And remember how we had that section where you solve formulas for a letter? I need to solve for time. So if I want to get time alone, I'm going to divide both sides by r. So time equals distance over rate. And I do that every single time I do these problems. I don't guess what the formula is. I take my rate times time equals distance and I solve for whatever box is empty because that's the box that I need to fill in. So this says in order to fill in your time box, take your distance and divide it by your rate. So in order to fill in Dana's time box, take her or his distance. I don't know if Dana's a girl or a boy. 175 and divide by his or her rate, which is R. And this is what I love about these. My equation's written. Here is my equation. Put it in horizontal format and you're done. Well, not done. You still have to solve, but so 205 over r plus 6 equals 175 over r. So this is a proportion, just like all the previous problems we've done on this section so far. And we learned proportions are solved by setting the cross products equal. So this cross product is 205r equals, and this cross product is going to need parentheses because we have two terms there. So that'd be 175 parentheses r plus 6. Because it's a product, it's multiply. So two or more terms always have to be in parentheses when you're multiplying. So the next step is to distribute. So we have 205r equals 175r plus, and then we want to do 175 times 6, 1050. And we'll pick up from there on the next video.